4 hours with the daily newspaper and spend another hour doing something else. So there's a point where you get, not only are the returns, the benefits of doing something getting smaller and smaller, but there's a point where actually it's costing you more to gather the information than it would to not. An example that's used in your textbook about that is a lot of basketball players who do very well in college, even if they're smart enough to go on to grad school, they often don't go on to grad school. They graduate from college and then they start playing for the NBA, because the cost of them missing out on work is so high that it doesn't justify giving up a year's salary at the NBA to take one more year of classes in their graduate program. So that's why you don't see a lot of NBA players with graduate degrees, right? The high opportunity cost. And that's why you didn't see me reading the Wall Street Journal for 5 hours a day. You'd see me reading it for 54 minutes a day on days where I had lower opportunity costs. And on really busy days where my opportunity cost was high, you'd see me only reading it for 5 minutes. But I did read it. And because I read it, it led to a lot of wonderful things that I would have never realized that it would have given me. So that was where my ability to choose was limited, because I couldn't see down the road. But some of the big benefits of reading the Wall Street Journal were that I got to discuss stock trading with my grandmother, and she taught me how to trade in stocks. And that was a wonderful thing that wouldn't have happened had she not seen me reading the Wall Street Journal. We would have just talked about things that a grandson and a grandma would have talked about. We would have never gone there if she hadn't seen me reading it. And that was a happy spillover effect from my activities. Another thing that meant that I could reference all sorts of things in my schoolwork and later on in job interviews from things that I had read in the Wall Street Journal. And I have no doubt that some of the successes that I've had in business were due to the fact that I had put in that extra time ahead of time, reading and becoming more familiar with things about that. Also, it's a really well-written paper. So you read well. If you read good writing, you become a better writer. You become a better speaker. And so there was a big plus there. So I wanted to share that with you because I thought that it might put into idea some of the economic principles that we're talking about. It might put into idea about opportunity cost. It would help you to understand some of the unforeseen events. And it would also show you that that even though we have, when we talk about free will, it doesn't mean that it's completely free of all influences. Not at all. We're very much influenced by all sorts of incentives and disincentives, but we still have the ability to make that choice. All right. Let's talk a little bit about you guys. Ariana, you want to fill us in? What questions, comments, or things would you like to share?
I don't really have questions that much. I'm just confused. How do you work the the market game that we're playing?
All right. Would it help you if I made a video of how to make a trade?
Yeah, probably. I got logged in and everything. I just don't understand how to start it.
All right. So let's see. I'm gonna share my screen here, and this is how the market works, right? So then I'm already logged in. That's great. And if those assignments that I was talking about are right here under my assignments, you can also get to it by clicking on under my portfolio. You can go down here to my assignments. I'll do that on another video. If you want to make your first trade, then you go up here where it says make a trade. Now, before you do that, though, make sure that you are because up on this where it says my dashboard under contest select, there's all these various possible thing. You automatically have something like a that's not the HVCC Spring 2021 Investment Challenge. They automatically give you like a couple different things that you can practice in. So, but if you want to just jump right to the investment challenge, you click on that one, make sure you're in there, and then you go to make a trade. Now you have a choice to trade in mutual funds or stocks, exchange traded funds, or cryptocurrency. Why don't we go ahead and buy some stock? What kind of car do you drive, Ariana?
I drive a Nissan.
Okay, so did you know that Nissan is a Japanese company?
I think so.
Yeah, they are, and they and yet to call them a Japanese company is really only to say, in this world of multinationals, it's only to say that their headquarters are located in Japan. They get supplies and materials from all over the world. They do manufacturing in so many different places, but because their headquarters are in Japan, then Nissan is, and Nissan is a publicly traded company, meaning that it's a company that's owned. Um, Not only is it a company that has its ownership divided into shares of stock, little small incremental ownership pieces, we call shares of stock, but also those shares of stock are traded among people on a stock exchange. But even though we refer to the New York Stock Exchange as the stock exchange, that's kind of a way that we think about it, because it's the one that we think of as Americans. But in fact, there's 3 different stock exchanges in the United States. There's the New York Stock Exchange, there's the NASDAQ, and the American Stock Exchange. And in Japan, there's another stock exchange called the Nikkei Exchange. And stocks that are traded on the New York Stock Exchange are not traded on the Nikkei Exchange. And there's other stock exchanges around the world as well. There's one in Berlin, there's one in Frankfurt, there's one in England. All right, and so we have these various places where the company agrees with the stock exchange to have their stock traded only on that stock exchange, and that stock exchange only. So in this game that we have set up, in real life, you can make an arrangement to buy Nissan stock, because what you do is you have a broker who has a seat on the Nikkei exchange, and they will help. You tell them to buy or sell your shares of stock for Nissan stock, and they will go to the Nikkei exchange and make those trades. That's why you pay them. That's why the brokers get paid. But in this game that I have set up here, this free game that I've been using, is it allows you to exchange only on the New York Stock Exchange. Maybe it allows NASDAQ stuff. One of the big companies that's traded on the NASDAQ is Microsoft, so we could find that out as well. But it also allows you to buy cryptocurrency. If you're familiar with Bitcoin and things like that, you can buy mutual funds. And there's also a separate Canadian stock exchange, and there was an opportunity to use that, but I kept it simple. Anyway, the reason why I asked you what car you drove is so I was thinking that we could buy, like if you drove a Ford or a GM or something like that, then we could buy one of those things. But how about you have any idea? I'm looking for a company to buy that has something to do with you, Ariana.
So I did something like this in high school. I can't remember if it's the same like website. But I remember buying shares from like Ulta, Apple, stuff like that.
All right. So let's say we want to buy Apple. So you click on make a trade, stocks, come on down here. You want to buy it. Yeah, because down here you could sell or do something else. You'll know more about that in a minute. But right here, we'll just do this. So you buy, and then in here under the symbol, we'll put in the company name that that you're buying. So and what they're looking for is the stock ticker symbol, which instead of spelling it, he said, "Boy, Mr. Snard can't spell. He doesn't know how to spell Apple." This is the symbol for the Apple company, AAPL. And once you found it, then you confirm that that's the one that you wanted to click on by clicking on that. Now, this right here is the chart for Apple. I don't know how clearly this is coming across, but what it is it shows that at 9 o'clock this morning, when the markets opened, that someone bought Apple from someone else who was selling Apple for $144 a share. Then by 10 minutes later, Apple traded for $142 a share, and then each one of these times that there's a point on this graph, it's because someone bought Apple from someone who was selling Apple. Someone thought that was a good price to sell it at, and someone thought it was a good price to buy it at, and there was a trade made. So to say that, and you have some experience with this, Ariana. So what you do is you say you've got $100,000 in this experiment, this challenge. Everyone starts with $100,000 in cash. You don't want to spend the whole $100,000 on this. What do you say? We buy 100 shares.
Sure.
Okay. So then you say, I'm going to buy Apple 100 shares, and then you have a choice. You can specify what price you're willing to pay it at, or you can just leave it at market. The easiest thing to do is just put it at market, and then it executes at whatever price it is. Like right now, when I hit 100, it estimated my cost of this at $14,237.92, because that's 100 times whatever the price of Apple was at the second that I hit 100. But I'm actually going to buy it at whatever price it goes through when I hit the execute button. So if I'm comfortable buying it somewhere around this price, then I just put it at market. If I know that if I think 143 is too much, but $142.99 is okay, then I would put a limit on the order, and I'd say I'll buy 100 shares if it's $42.99 or less. And as soon as, if the stock is hovering above that, and it gets to the end of the day and it never got down to my price, then the order expires. I didn't buy any Apple because it didn't get low enough. So that's how that works. Anyway, let's go ahead and just buy 100 at market though, and you see that the price, it changed in that little bit of time that I was talking, and now we're going to click confirm order, and that's how you do it. Now I own 100 shares of Apple. It cost me about $14,000. So now instead of having $100,000 of cash, I now have $86,000 in cash and $14,000 worth of Apple stock. That helps you?
Yeah, that made a lot more sense. Thank you.
All right. So maybe I'll share that segment of the video with your classmates. Okay. How'd you do on your stock market challenge, Ariana, in high school?
I was like one of the top ones, but I didn't really know what I was doing.
Okay, just imagine if you did know what you're doing.
Yeah.
All right. Well, good luck with that. There is prize money that we do this every semester. Whoever does the highest gets a $250 Amazon gift card. Yeah, you heard that. That's not points. That's money. Okay. So you get in there, you do well. All right.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. All right, Sadia.